It was just another dusty afternoon on a desolate stretch of highway in New Mexico, Mike, a tired truck driver with more bills than hope, spotted a luxury car, stranded in the heat, its driver alone, struggling in silence. What he didn't know was that the man behind those sunglasses was Keanu Reeves, and that a simple act of kindness would set off a chain of events that no one, especially Mike, could have seen coming. Oh, and before we continue, tell us, what's the one thing you love most about Keanu Reeves? Let us know in the comments. The asphalt sizzled under the relentless New Mexico sun. It was nearly 5 in the afternoon, but the heat still clung to the air like a heavy blanket. Mike Thompson, 49, stared ahead at the endless stretch of highway with tired, glassy eyes. The truck rumbled beneath him, the engine humming like a restless giant, chewing mile after mile, while his thoughts drifted far behind. Scratchy old country tune played on the radio, something about home, longing, and lost love. It fit his mood too, while he loosened his shirt collar, wiped sweat from his brow with the inside of his arm, and exhaled a sigh that seemed to carry weeks of exhaustion. Mike had been a trucker for over 2 decades. He'd crisscrossed the country from coast to coast more times than he could count. He knew the sharp turns in Colorado, the icy winds of Wyoming, the lonely gas stations in Utah. But there was something about this stretch of New Mexico, a vast silent desert that felt more desolate than usual, that made him feel especially alone, and things at home weren't much better. The bills were piling up, the credit card was maxed out. The freight he was hauling to Phoenix would barely cover fuel. Worse, he was 2 payments behind on his truck. His wife, Rachel, after 25 years of marriage, had grown distant, tired, worn, and his son, Logan, 17, might as well have been living on another planet, one made entirely of movies. Logan was a movie fanatic. He could recite entire scripts, recognize film scores instantly, and name directors just from the color palette of a scene. But above all, he idolized one man, Keanu Reeves, the John Wick guy, as he always said. Posters, action figures, DVDs, even a t-shirt that read, "Be kind like Keanu." Mike thought it was a little over the top, but he admired the kid's passion. Mike himself had never been much into celebrities. He respected hard work, early risers, honest hands, people who put food on the table with grit, not glamour. And there he was, doing exactly that, driving into nothing with the rumble of the engine sounding more like a heartbeat on the edge of burnout. That's when he saw it. A sleek black sports car pulled over. On the shoulder, the hood was popped. A man stood beside it, looking utterly frustrated. He was bent over the trunk, alone, bathed in the golden heat of late afternoon. One flat tire in the middle of nowhere. Mike eased off the gas and coasted to a stop. A few yards ahead, he flicked on his hazards, set the brake, and checked the side mirror. "Poor bastard's going to bake out there," he muttered. He stepped out slowly, his knees cracking as they straightened from the side compartment. He grabbed a heavy toolbox, slammed the door, and began walking toward the car. "Everything all right here?" he called out, keeping his tone casual. The man straightened up, wiping his forehead. He wore dark jeans, a plain shirt, sunglasses, and had a bit of scruff on his face. He didn't exactly scream wealth, but something about him felt different. Kind of, the man replied, giving a small, sheepish smile. "Try to change it myself, but the wrench they gave me doesn't seem to fit. Either that or I just suck at this." Mike chuckled and knelt down to examine the wheel. "Well, let's see what we're working with you." "Sure," the man asked. "I don't want to be a bother. If being bothered was a problem, I wouldn't have stopped your good." The man took off his sunglasses, hooked them on his collar, and watched quietly as Mike checked the lug. "Nuts, looks like you've got anti-theft lugs, probably. Came with a special key. You got it." The man opened the glove box, rummaged through a leather pouch, and handed over a small silver adapter. "That's the one now. We're in business." Mike wiped his hands and got to work. The sun beat down hard, but his movements were quick and practiced. He'd done this 1,000 times, maybe more. As he worked, they talked. "So what brings you out to this forgotten patch of desert?" "Sometimes I just drive, helps clear my head." "Well, you picked the right place for that. Not great for flat tires, though." The man laughed softly. "That's for sure. But I guess I got lucky." Mike raised an eyebrow. "Lucky that you stopped?" Mike shrugged. Helping people on the road wasn't new to him. His father had drilled it into him as a kid. If you can help someone on the road, do it. One day, it'll be you standing there. The spare tire was mounted bolts Titan car lowered back to the ground. Mike stood, wiping the back of his neck with his shirt that should hold you. Make it to the next town easy. I'd still recommend getting the others checked, though. This heat's brutal on rubber. The man extended a hand, genuine gratitude in his eyes. Thanks, really, what's your name? Mike Thompson. I run Thompson Freight Co. He nodded toward his truck. Small outfit, but we're solid. The man nodded slowly like he was storing that away. Got it, Mike. You saved my day, mind. If I get your company's number? Mike hesitated for a second. It was a strange request after a flat tire, but he pulled a business card from his shirt pocket and handed it over. Here, but don't worry about it. I didn't do this for a favor. Even so, thanks. The man walked back to his car. Mike turned toward his truck, already craving the lukewarm coffee in his cup holder. Then behind him he heard that calm voice once more. Yeah, I could use a hand. Mike stopped. The man was smiling now, a kind of knowing smile, like those words held some kind of private meaning. Mike didn't recognize the face, but in less than 24 hours the world would know his. The sun hung low, a molten orange disk melting into the desert horizon. Heat shimmered off the blacktop, warping the air in waves. Mike stood with his arms crossed, watching as the mysterious man folded up the jack and slid it back into the trunk. You're good at this, the man said, dusting off his hands. Mike shrugged. Been doing this kind of thing long enough. Tires, engines, breakdowns comes with the territory. The man nodded. He didn't say much after that, just stood there squinting at the vastness around them, as if searching for something in the distance. There was something oddly peaceful about him, quiet, grounded, yet clearly used to a different kind of life. Mike took a swig of water from his thermos and offered it. The man took a sip, nodded gratefully, and handed it back. You live around here? He asked. Not really. Mike replied, just pass through. Now. And then I'm based out of Amarillo Hall Freight, wherever it's needed. This runs going to Phoenix. The man gave a small smile, the kind that didn't quite reach his eyes. Long way to go in this heat, yeah, but someone's got to move the country stuff around. We don't stop. Nothing moves. True, the man said softly, as if that meant more to him than it seemed. They stood in silence for a moment. A breeze kicked up some dust, and the desert buzzed with faint life, crickets, the hum of distant insects, the occasional cry of a bird of prey. Mike studied the man more closely. There was no pretense in him, no entitlement, just a calm stillness, like someone who'd seen a lot and had made peace with most of it. You out here on vacation? Mike asked. Something like that. Just needed to get away for a while. Think running from something or toward? The man laughed quietly. A little of both, maybe. Mike smiled. He liked people who could be honest like that. The conversation drifted. They talked about the road, about old cars and desert sunsets. Mike mentioned how much his son loved movies. Logan's obsessed, he said, chuckling. Wants to be a director someday. Already writes scripts and storyboards for fun. Whole bedroom looks like a film set. The man raised an eyebrow. Interested? What kind of movies? All kinds, but he's especially into action flicks. His hero is that guy. What's his name? The one from John Wick. The man didn't respond at first, just smiled gently and looked away. Yeah, I might continue. That guy, my son, thinks he's the coolest human alive. Says he's not just a badass in movies, but in real life, too. The man nodded almost shyly. Sounds like your kid's got good instincts. You a movie guy? Mike asked. I've done a few things, the man replied vaguely. Mike didn't push. He wasn't one to pry into people's lives. You never knew what someone might be carrying. The man looked up at the darkening sky. The first stars were starting to blink into view. I should probably get going, he said. You've done more than enough. No problem, Mike replied, glad I could help. The man hesitated. Can I ask one more thing? Shoot, your full name. Just want to remember it. Right, Mike blinked. Sure, Mike Thompson. The man pulled a phone from his pocket, tapped something quickly, then slipped it back in. And your company? Thompson Freight. Yep, just me and 2 trucks. Really small time, but reliable. The man nodded again, then held out his hand. Thanks, Mike, for stopping for talking. Mike took the handshake, firm and simple. Anytime. As the man slid into the driver's seat, he glanced back once more. You take care out there. You too, Mike said, already turning toward his rig. The engine of the sports car started with a soft purr. The headlights lit up the highway ahead, and then without another word, the man pulled onto the road and disappeared into the fading light. Mike climbed back into the truck, the air inside hot and still. He started the engine, let it idle, then leaned back in his seat for a moment. Something about that guy lingered, not just the odd kindness or how calm he was. It was the Way he listened, the way he seemed to carry a lifetime in the silence between. His words, Mike shook his head and smiled. Movie people, he muttered, strangest bunch. He pulled back onto the highway, chasing the tail into the sunset, unaware that the man he had just helped had already made a decision that would change his life forever. Thanks again, the man, says. Mike nods and turns back toward his truck. What he didn't know was that this quiet stranger already had plans to repay him. The next morning started like any other for Mike Thompson. Too early, too quiet, and already too hot. He had parked his truck overnight at a dusty lot on the edge of a small Arizona town. After a quick breakfast, black coffee, and a stale donut, he checked the tires, topped off the oil, and prepared to hit the road. Another day, another 100 miles. That was life. But as he reached for the ignition, his phone buzzed in the center console. It was Logan. 8:11 a.m. Incoming call. Logan. Mike smiled. The kid rarely called this early, unless something was wrong or exciting. Hey, bud, what's up? He barely got the words out before Logan shouted, his voice crackling with disbelief. Dad, you're not going to believe this. Keanu Reeves is looking for you. Mike froze, hand still on the keys. What? I swear it's all over Twitter and Instagram. He posted a photo of you helping him on the side of the road. Mike blinked. Slow down. What are you talking about? I'm sending it to your phone. Check it like right now. Seconds later, his screen lit up with a notification. Logan had forwarded a screenshot from Instagram. Mike tapped it with one calloused finger, expecting some kind of mix-up or prank, but there it was. A photo, grainy but clear, of him kneeling beside a black sports car, working on the tire. The caption read, "This man helped me on a remote drive in New Mexico yesterday. I didn't get the chance to thank him properly. If anyone knows who he is, please help me find him." And just above it, the verified username, Aki and Noor's official. Mike stared at the screen, his heart suddenly hammering in his chest. He read it again, then a third time. No way, that quiet guy in the desert. That was Keanu Reeves. His phone buzzed again. Another text from Logan. He's literally trending. Sutter one. Everyone's reposting it like millions of views. Dad, the whole internet is looking for you. Mike's truck cab suddenly felt 10 degrees warmer. He scrolled through the comments, thousands of them. This is why we love Keanu. Someone find this man. That trucker is a legend. Keanu's guardian angel. He looks like the kind of guy who brings you water and fixes your whole car. People had zoomed in on his face, enhanced the image, speculated about his name, where he was from. Some had even reverse searched the Thompson Freight kind of logo on his truck. He hadn't realized someone had taken the photo. Probably a passing car. Mike's hand trembled slightly. He set the phone down, staring at the dashboard. This wasn't just a shout-out, this was everywhere. His business phone rang, next a number from Los Angeles, then another New York, Dallas. Emails started pouring in, news outlets, podcasts, late night shows. They all wanted to talk to the mysterious trucker who helped Keanu Reeves. And just like that, Mike's quiet, dusty world flipped upside down. Across the country, Logan had practically exploded from excitement. He paced the living room, phone in hand, refreshing feeds, capturing screenshots. His mom, Rachel, stood in the kitchen, watching the commotion with half a smile and wide, disbelieving eyes. "So your dad helped Keanu Reeves," she said slowly. "Yes," Logan shouted, "and now he's famous." "Mom, do you know how big this is? Do you realize who that was?" Rachel nodded, faintly dazed. "Yeah, I do." Logan wasn't the only one losing it. Neighbors started texting, friends from school, even Logan's drama teacher messaged, "Tell your dad he's a hero. Also, does he want to come speak at our assembly?" Meanwhile, Mike pulled his truck off at the nearest rest stop and sat on a bench outside, trying to breathe. He was just a guy, a trucker. He didn't fix the tire for clout or fame or attention. He just did what any decent human would do. But now people were calling him a symbol, a reminder that kindness still exists, a hero of the highway. He didn't know whether to laugh or hide. By late afternoon, a news van had shown up outside their house. Then too, more than a drone hovered above the driveway. Rachel didn't even have time to clean the porch. Mike finally called home from the road. "Is it really that crazy?" he asked. "You have no idea," she said. "There's a lady from Good Morning America sitting on our front step." Mike groaned. "I didn't even recognize the guy." "Well," Rachel said gently, "he clearly recognized you back at the rest stop." Mike refreshed the Instagram post one more time. Over 4 million likes. He scrolled to the top again and stared at the photo. It was surreal, just him in his Worn jeans and dusty boots, squatting by a stranger's car. No filters, no poses. Just a real moment frozen forever. He thought about Logan, who had grown up, idolizing movie stars, dreaming of magical moments, and here Mike was living. One not in a studio, not on a red carpet, but on a sunburned stretch of forgotten road, helping a man who just happened to be Keanu Reeves. He looked at the phone one last time, then whispered to himself, the guy you helped was Keanu Reeves, and this desert story was only just beginning. Mike stared at the post hand, trembling. The guy you helped was Keanu Reeves, and that night in the desert was only the beginning. For the next 2 days, Mike Thompson barely slept. His phone rang nonstop. Texts came in from old friends, distant cousins, and people he hadn't spoken to in years. News crews parked outside his house. Logan started keeping a spreadsheet of all the interview requests, local radio stations, international media, even a late-night host team had reached out, but Mike wasn't interested in fame. He declined every interview, avoided every camera. Even when they offered money, he politely said no. He didn't do it for attention, and he didn't want to be turned into some kind of internet mascot. But one message changed everything. It was a video sent to his company email from a verified address. Reeves. There was no subject and line, just a single download link. Mike hesitated, then clicked the screen, filled with the face of Keanu Reeves. No studio lights, no makeup, just him sitting in what looked like a quiet garden, wearing a black t-shirt and a soft, genuine smile. Hey, Mike, he said, voice low and calm. I know things have probably gotten pretty overwhelming, and I imagine this is all a bit strange, but I didn't want to go through your son or the media or the noise. He paused as if choosing each word carefully. I just want to say thank you again. What you did, it reminded me that real kindness still exists. You stopped for someone you didn't know and didn't ask for anything in return. That means something. Then Keanu leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. So here's the deal, Mike. There's a private premiere happening in LA next week. Very small, very quiet. I'd like to invite you and your family, you, your wife, and Logan. He smiled again, a little wider. This time I've already booked the flights. You don't have to talk to the press. You don't even have to stay long. I just thought maybe you could use a little break, and I'd really like to meet Logan. At the end of the video, Keanu held up a small handwritten note and read it aloud to Mike and family. Come as you are. You already gave more than enough. Then the screen went black. Mike stared at it in stunned silence. Rachel was speechless. When he showed her, Logan, on the other hand, practically burst. He wrote, to you. He sent a video to you? The boy shouted, jumping in place. Do you realize how insane this is? I'm not sure I should go, Mike said cautiously. All the attention at the press. Rachel placed a hand on his. But this isn't the press. This is him reaching out. Mike looked at Logan, who had tears welling in his eyes. The guy from John Wick wants to meet you, Dad. 2 days later, for the first time in their lives, the Thompsons boarded a plane. Logan filmed every moment boarding. Takeoff, clouds outside the window. Rachel clutched Mike's hand the entire way, half from nerves, half from disbelief. When they landed in Los Angeles, a sleek black SUV was waiting for them on the tarmac. Inside was a driver holding a sign.